Episode 108. This is Post 90 Podcast. Obviously, a crazy, crazy week.
Crazy game.
Crazy game, which has seen Columbus fans fully off of that Chernobyl air pack, coming at us saying that we benefited from a terrible ref.
Well, here's the thing about that is I'm not coming from a camp where I feel any type of anything for another fan that has experienced bad refs, because at this point we've been wronged so much that I really could care less. Like at this point, it's kind of just us getting our get back, and I don't think and at the end of the day, I don't think the ref was that bad. When it comes to the 3 red cards, like all 3, I guess at least by the laws of the game, if we're gonna look at like the rules of soccer, were deserved.
Yeah, 100%.
Cucho, you're gonna talk shit to the ref during halftime, like not even during open play. Right. You're gonna get dissent. Santi got dissent in that game too, and then you're gonna kick a player in the face. You're lucky that that could have been a straight red just off the challenge itself, kicking a player in the face.
We technically got lucky in the sense that it was a second yellow and it was non-reviewable.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think they looked
go
at
and
it,
change
though.
his mind. No, they couldn't.
Oh, they didn't look at it?
No, they weren't allowed to.
I don't know. I still think it's pretty bad though. Like he's obviously does not get any of the ball. Gets all of Chanot's mouth.
It's a foul that's happened to us a million times this season, and it's the first time it's been called.
Mm-hmm. And then you have Nancy, who, all things considered, I think is a pretty good manager. I know he was with Montreal and now with a better team at Columbus, but like he's been a pretty measured guy for like all accounts. So he was obviously kind of out of his element with the way that he was behaving as well. Leaving the touchline is going to get you a yellow minimum, but the ref was probably tired of hearing it all game from everybody on that bench. So red there, that would probably be the most likely, where I would say just give Nancy a yellow. But then you have the trainer or the assistant coach, whatever the guy is, I'm sure they found him by now, throwing water on a ref.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend that that's like, he assaulted him, but like you can't do that though.
Yeah, no.
Like it's a red. It's straight up a red.
And pretending that he didn't physically throw water with the intent of throwing water is literally criminally insane.
Yeah.
And you're trying to gaslight like very clear evidence. It's
super
in 4K.
Clear.
Yeah, it's super clear that he got angry and threw it, and like I don't think if he had the option to do it again, or if he thought about it for more than a second, that he would have done it. But like he did do it.
What did you say? A Columbus fan on Twitter said they forgot that they had water in their hand.
Yeah, that he was reacting. Flinged his hand in frustration and forgot he had water in his hand.
He forgot he was holding something.
You, actively. My friend, are sucking in toxic Ohio weather, and it's infected your brain, son.
Yeah.
It's gotten bad.
Because that's obviously deserved. And honestly, like, are we that upset? Who cares? Is this guy helping the outcome of the game in any way if he's sent off the bench?
Right.
No. Who cares?
And with all that considered, we got a yellow card in the 13th minute for time wasting.
Yeah.
For time wasting. So for any Columbus fan to seriously look you in the face and say that you were on the bad end, our keeper couldn't spend too long with the ball in his hand from minute 13.
And if Cucho,
because the ref decided that he wanted to do that.
Well, I was going to say on top of that, if Cucho didn't get the yellow card dissent, both teams had 4 yellows.
Right.
For proper fouls in the game. Yeah. So I don't know what to say in that regard. I think
feel like
it
he was missing calls all over the place.
Yeah, it was bad both ways. It was bad both ways. And to be honest with you, neither team helped themselves in the way of the scoring department. I think we tweeted like at halftime it could have been like 2-0 either way or 2-2. It probably could have been more than that, honestly. Obviously, our players they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn or whatever the saying is. Richie was doing his best Tales impression out there. I was shocked. Usually, we glaze Richie here, but this was not a great. This was a terrible performance. And good on Cushing to pull him out too, I think.
Yeah.
That was a good idea.
I mean,
for the wrong guy though.
Cushing was amazing up until the Tales and Pellegrini sub. Like those two coming in, to me was like, dude, what are you doing? Like how do 2 attackers help us close this game out?
It's so unfair that Gabe didn't get to play.
Yeah.
He literally looked like the striker that we've needed all season in the game prior. Like he's making all the correct striker runs. He's getting shots on target. He obviously came in and he had that header that was almost an immediate goal off sub in the last game. And then, I mean, yeah, the runs were the most valuable part because it was opening space up for our other players. And it's just, I can't imagine he was gassed because he was a sub in that too. He couldn't have been gassed. I know the game was, not too far away, but
not to mention his ability to run after the ball on defense. I mean, somebody, I forgot who it was. Somebody, when I was in the spaces, was telling me that Cushing wouldn't have told the striker to press or put pressure on the ball to close out the game. I simply just don't know how any coach would be able to not say that in that situation. And even if, let's live in that fairy tale land that Cushing did not want the striker to be a part of the defensive pressure being put on or the defensive effort being put on, like, Gabe would have done it anyways. He would have been chasing the ball or, trying to get involved.
Yeah. Well, I do want to call this out too. In the past, I think we've seen a few games, even throughout that terrible defeated and undefeated streak, whatever it was, 11 games and 6 losses and stuff. There were a few ties mixed in there where they were like 1-1 or whatever 2-2 away games, where we definitely did see Cushing, 70th minute has a point away at the moment and locking things down and trying to stay with it.
Right.
And I think we came on here even and we were like, that's kind of like an English coach mentality. You're a very tough opponent at a tough away game. Like a point, people respect that.
Right.
And, thinking about the Prem or, just overseas football in general, which, isn't a bad thought, but I did not see that. A lot of people were saying that we sat on it at the end of this game.
No. If
anything,
I thought we went for it too much, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, Tales was literally kept himself on an island at the top of the field and was not coming back.
Yeah.
So, if the instruction is that, players are going to press too hard or they're going to sit back, then, obviously we have to admit that Tales would have had an instruction to stay up, which is literally in an attempt to attack, to score, and go for the game at the end of it. So, personally, I didn't see the whole park the bus thing. I thought for sure those last 12 minutes, I know they scored in the 94th, but, the next 10, it felt like, because they obviously added extra on. I thought for sure we were scoring. I thought it was going to be a win. Somebody was winning that game 100%, because it was like Ronnie says, it was like basketball. It was up and down, back and forth. Dudes gassed with tired legs and the attackers just running and shooting. So I didn't see the whole park the bus thing personally.
No, I didn't either. I think what people are confusing is they saw
us defending for our lives at times,
absorbing a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But having to absorb pressure is not us wanting to be in that situation. We would have happily controlled the ball if we could. They just simply didn't allow it. That's what they did very well. They didn't allow us much of the ball. Mm-hmm. But when we did have the ball, we created chances. We just couldn't finish them.
Well, and there were a few chances that were blown up too. It was, I think I tweeted that Malt was doing really well, and then the next second, Gabby's on a breakaway from Barraza, and Malt just professional foul, pulls him down and gets a yellow card. Yeah. And I'm like, there's an attack that just was blown up by way of foul that we didn't end up having, and it just back and forth. Honestly, it was the whole game. It was really, it was the whole game.
At the end of the day, it was a draw that deserved to be a draw in a sense. I think Cushing outclassed their manager.
Nancy.
He won the tactical battle. Mm-hmm. He just didn't win the bounces at the end of the day.
Well, that's one thing we always joke around to is what more could he have done besides getting up at the 9 and literally banging in a goal himself. He created every chance he could have.
I think the team is thinking that at this point. The team has to be thinking, dude, what do we have to do? Mm-hmm. Physically, what do we have to do to close out a game and win? Mm-hmm. Finishing, is going to be number one. I in my head, I actually had this dream that we were on the training pitch with Nick, and I was like, you know what? If they miss a goal in training, they're doing 17 push-ups per goal miss.
It has to be more than that.
Running gassers.
At this point.
You're not... For every chance you miss, that's 5 less minutes you're playing this season.
Yeah.
It's simply, and every goal can be 10 plus 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. But for a while, I think that's, obviously finishing has been the issue. That's not a hidden idea. I think I saw a Columbus fan tweet that, the first based Columbus fan that I've seen since the game ended. He said, maybe the only I saw, literally, said NYCFC fans should take solace in the fact that out of Columbus's last 12 games, they've only scored 1 goal or less in 2, and both were against us. And
that makes sense.
Columbus is, 4th place in the East. I think probably one of the tougher teams that we faced in a long time. Especially one that has been good that we've actually shown something against. Like, there's something there with our team. And the defense, hasn't been an issue. In my opinion, Turnbull was not an issue. No. Obviously, we're going to need to have a whole conversation and segment about Hack on this episode. But defensive-wise, you saw a lot of people before that goal went in, as usual, not giving Hack his flowers. We have the running passing thread on Twitter and we could add more just from that game. Better than the one we posted. And the defense was not a problem on the night at all.
No.
And Turnbull was not an issue, if you want to expand it all. I know you, me There's too. Plans. We've been Turnbull defenders, far and away.
I saw a ball over the top that he got beat on initially and then got back on and helped. And that's the only time where I was like, he kind of got beat there.
And also, I think one thing worth calling out, and I just realized we shut a window to not let sound in, but there's two windows. There's 2 windows right next to each other, and that one's open. So, regardless.
What did Ferg say? I gotta close the window because New York don't know how to be quiet.
Yeah, something like that. But defenders are gonna get beat. I don't know. Yeah. It feels like when. Maybe I'll just let you take it, but it just feels like to me, hey, when Man City won the Champions League, a world-class defender that is playing in a Champions League final got beat to give up the goal that ultimately lost. Multiple people, people are playing at the level of their opposition. Yeah. If a defender gets beat 1 or 2 times in a game, that happens to every defender in every soccer game.
It's like watching a game of chess, being like, oh. A pawn got taken. Yeah. Really? Plus, tactically speaking, let's really put our caps on, right? Let's talk about soccer, right?
Yeah.
Tactically speaking, if you are going from one extreme of far back right to the other extreme of far front right, there's a lot of space in between for a defender or 2 defenders to occupy space, and you're having to run all the way back and defend. So you're doing that nonstop.
In a basketball game.
And a ball gets dinked over your head. You might get beat in that scenario when you're running backwards trying to track the ball or having to turn completely and track the ball. That's going to happen.
And when you're not the fastest guy named Steven Turnbull that is months removed from literally being an MLS 2 player.
You know who doesn't get beat? Wan-Bissaka doesn't get beat.
Kyle Walker
gets beat.
Okay.
But he's pretty good at not getting beat.
I think
he gets beat.
I think the whole point of everything is whoever your GOAT is, whoever your GOAT left back in the world is, whoever your GOAT center back in the world is, they've been beaten probably 1 to 2 times a game.
Messi nutmegged Boateng in one of the most famous goals. So is that just because Boateng was trash?
Boateng sucks, man.
Well, he's ass. Yeah. He shouldn't even belong on in anybody's list.
Any pitch. But it's true, and I think you're.
And his manager, honestly, should have
not played him.
Made him tackled.
Well, they should have. Well, I was gonna say they should have just played somebody else over him.
Right, or subbed him out.
Yeah. Right after he got beat, or right before.
Minute. I don't know.
They should have used one of those magic orbs where you can see into the future.
Right.
And saw that he was going to miss that tackle on Messi.
Right.
Taking him out of the game, played a much more inexperienced player that probably will get beat worse.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
But I think... And during that whole time, cannot be friends with any of the players. Has to fucking hate the players.
Yeah.
Has to despise them.
Has to.
Can't have a beer with the fans either.
No. Well, anyways. But I think you were getting to a good point though about the tactics where, and I'm not gonna pretend to be a tactics guy, all right. But from what I've seen in watching as many NYCFC and MLS adjacent games as humanly possible, and the odd international game here and there, international in terms of country and overseas. The 3 and the 5 in the back system is designed to, not to allow your wing backs to get beat, but like if Turnbull gets beat, the idea is that you now have 3 center backs whose job is to defend. That's all your job is to do, to defend, to cover you because of that. That's why you're putting in a 5. That's why it's a 5 and a 3. Right?
That's
why there's a whole extra center back on the field, a whole nother one.
Correct.
That you will not have otherwise. That's why he's there.
And would you happen to believe if I told you that the only goal that happened against our club that day was not against Turnbull? It was not as a result of him getting burned or him not playing a good ball.
It wasn't Turnbull.
It happened to be Tavon Gray sticking his foot out where he shouldn't have been.
And it happened to be, and it also happened to be Chanot's man, that was that was boxing Chanot out of the play. He was dropping his hips into Chanot.
But you're not going to go and say.
But I don't hear the Chanot slander. That was his man.
Costed us the game.
That was his man that got a free ball.
Costed us the game because it's not how
Tavon does
logic works.
Get a little rap, but rightfully so. But it's still a deflection at the end of the day. But I think, as you say, where's the Chanot slander? He lost his man, got a perfect ball off.
Not even that. I don't want to call for any slander of anybody because it doesn't really make sense. The point is that, like, let's say I saw him get burned once over the top of the over the top ball. Let's say it happened 2 more times, 3 more times. Tavon or somebody helped clean it up because that's how Nick Cushing organized it. So at the end of the day, no harm, no foul. Like, could it have? Maybe, but it didn't.
Yeah.
We have to operate in reality. It didn't affect us.
Yeah.
Turnbull playing for whatever it was, 80 minutes, didn't affect us negatively at all.
Yeah. And that said, talking about tactics, I don't want to sound like we're immune to like a single player making a mistake and it resulting in a thing. That can happen, but that in this case is not what happened. With Turnbull. Right. So the people like coming for him kind of overly crazy, in our opinion, doesn't make a lot of sense. I think we have a perfect example of it. I think it was Charlotte. Obviously, that goal that Charlotte scored was fully on Hack's head. That was an individual mistake, and those things happen. So we're not immune, especially to a player that we love like Hack, to say those things. But in this case, it was I don't know. I also think there was I think we had like an adrenaline dump. Like when you think about, think about like the UFC. When something like crazy happens, there's like an adrenaline dump. Somebody looks really good for a couple minutes, and then it's like, holy shit, I just gassed my entire tank out. I think after they score and after that whole, it felt like that whole red card situation with the trainer and Nancy, like gave Columbus a certain moxie. Like they came out like, nah, we're going to make you pay now for that. Like we're going to.
It did that. But it also gave them a minute to relax and kind of fix things and talk amongst each other and kind of organize themselves and motivate each other.
We looked worse after.
Like, it literally gave them a free break. Like, and I know Christian was saying at the end of the day there would have been at least 3 minutes of stoppage regardless of that happening. So we can't really blame stoppage time. But you can blame what happened to cause the stoppage time for, like you said, their ability to get it together and go and do what they did. Yeah. Because it was immediate. It was literally right after.
Well, it was night and day. Once that whole thing happened, like, I would say that we were probably on the front foot before that happened. Like, we were definitely commanding the game.
We had turned it from the Hack goal. From that point, really, like, it had built.
That was momentum, morale, everything. Like, it's over. Santi running through the stadium after Hack scores. And obviously, I think, Hack is one of those guys, I think, in the locker room that a lot of people love. Yeah. And obviously the history that goes behind it, too, whether it's, it's the club's first goal or first homegrown goal, Hack's first career and season goal. Like, that's the type of stuff that you then build on the rest of the game. Like, everybody's in great spirits. But that thing, that killed all the momentum that we had, and it shifted it towards Columbus. And then at that point, I felt like we were on the back foot. I was waiting, honestly, like 90th minute. I see 12 minutes of stoppage time, and I'm like, they're scoring.
Yeah, no,
they're scoring. Like, that's what's gonna happen, and then it does.
I mean, you got to think too. O'Toole was on the field at the time, and Pellegrini was on the field at the time. All for the first like half of the season. When you're looking at warm-ups and you're looking at the bench players playing together, it's 3 to 4 guys playing in a group together that are always warming up together. Is O'Toole, Hack, Pellegrini, and Jason.
Yep.
So they're clearly amongst one of the closest together.
Yep.
So for them to have that experience together, obviously that had to have made some type of adrenaline dump, like you said.
Yeah.
To where it's like you're just so happy for your friend that just did that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we just we seem like a little bit like deer in a headlight type thing after everything transpired, and then obviously went downhill from there. I mean, it does feel like a loss a little bit, and I was waiting.
Sure.
I was waiting for that Columbus goal to be found, to lose 2-1, especially after my prediction. I was like, oh, I did it. I was like, I actually jinxed it.
But then on my side, I was like, nah, I got this spot on. I got 2-1.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get the winner here. Like I thought we were gonna go and score and win.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think you called it out too. We were obviously not together for the game, but we were texting, and you were like, I swear if Cushing puts on Tales and he ends up causing a goal because he's not coming back or something like that. And that was like literally something on a few occasions. Like I think we lost possession because of Tales not pressing hard, and it's just, I don't know. I don't typically like to go in on guys, but like it's been a string of games and weeks where it's hard not to when you're watching somebody play, and it sucks because we've seen much better from him in the past, but I'm not sure where he's at. Like I'm not sure how he's fallen from
allegedly
such grace.
The word is that the team in the front office and everything is very, very, very upset and disappointed with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like extremely upset with.
But they love him as like a personality and a man and
Yeah.
like everything. Yeah. Or I guess a boy, because everybody on our team's like 19 years
Yeah,
old, and
like
that's
he's the guy that has the locker room, but the front office is just like, dude.
Well, you have to be because I think I don't think he has the most. Does he have the most expensive salary? I'm not sure, but he has definitely the highest inbound.
Pellegrini would.
Oh, it's true, but he definitely has the highest. He's up there, but he has, I think, the highest inbound transfer fee. So.
Yeah, I mean,
you would be upset. Everybody, you have to be upset.
The thing is, I just don't like. I don't really have. There's not much evidence out there that exists that he properly fits into the way that we play, which is like being quick, passing amongst each other, creating opportunities with passing rather than just like skilling around people. Like there's really no evidence for it.
Which is funny because I would love if Neymar came here. He would.
Yeah.
He would be that.
He would be that,
but like a productive version of
He's
that.
He's actually able to dribble.
Yeah, it would be like a productive version of that. Which who knows what even the situation is with that. It seems like it's a lot of smoke and not a lot of fire.
Yeah.
So, trying not to get my hopes up. At one point in the distant past, Neymar was one of my favorite players. I've since grown up. But now, no, Greece, I would still give that. Because Sterling.
Now that you've been reminded of his stats today.
No, but Sterling ripped my heart out, man, when he left for Chelsea.
Watch your old boys.
Although I do have to say, for anybody that caught Chelsea's new kit for next year, they're first in the league for kits. You see it? No. Unsponsored.
Oh, the one with the shit, like it was very cold in the studio.
I don't know. But there were no sponsors, and the badge and the Nike symbol were both I don't know what you would call it, like chrome. So it was, and then it was just like kind of flat blue. It was sick.
Oh, yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, I think
their team is horrible, but that's hard.
Well, I think Mudryk, is that his name? I think he is like their Tales right now. Same vibe.
007.
Because everybody goes for 100 mil these days. Everybody.
Yep.
And Grealish started that.
Hard not to. I mean, that's pretty That's pretty.
Okay.
The Manchester United third
On
kid, maybe?
the ugliest man they could find, but that's all right.
Hey, Ronaldo's ugly once.
I guess. Yeah.
Before he paid for it.
I was gonna say let Garnacho get to his second or third contract, and he'll be better. But we obviously have Philly away coming up.
Tough one.
Very tough.
We've met. No, we haven't met the 7.
With the 7? What do you mean?
You had 7 points.
Oh, 7 points. No. And
so we need a win here.
Yeah. Is this the last one before the Leagues Cup? Yes. So, I mean, we need a win here, and that is gonna decide our bet, I guess.
I think this little break will be very, very good for us.
Well, it depends too, because it's a break in a way, but we are gonna be playing like quite a bit. Like Sunday, Leagues Cup, July 23rd. Then we have to play again on Wednesday, so 3 days later.
I feel like 8 days is good for the legs.
Oh, between the Leagues Cup and the MLS. Yeah.
Is that how math works?
That was the quickest math I ever saw you do. But Philly previewing it a little bit, I think what we saw in Columbus makes me more hopeful than I would have been otherwise, because Columbus and Philly are obviously 2 top teams. Columbus even higher than Philly. So I like our chances. I think a lot of emotions are attached to Philly games. We obviously went up. We were at the game. We went up 1-0 against them. Then they came back and won 2-1 at Citi Field. We had both teams to score, so you can blame us for making that bet. But thankfully, we made like $5 off it, I guess. But it'll be tough.
I think a draw better. That's like we're happy with that.
You have to.
Philly always
tough.
tough.
Happy with the draw.
I was actually talking to somebody at work, like a client at work, and she randomly brought up that she's a Timbers fan, and I just had to be like, I'm so sorry
for what we've done.
But you gave me the happiest moment of my life.
Yeah, that's funny. Philly too on the way.
Yeah.
Gave us one of them, and then the Revs too. It was nice to see another Matt Turner penalty shootout last night, but in a different way. I was happy to go with him for once.
I was funny. I think it's something like 14. He saved 14 out of his 29 faced in his career.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, but 5 of them.
5
of them was us.
5 of them were our trophy.
I mean, but looking forward, I think the schedule looking forward is pretty good for us.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of Philly, and so.
Well, so maybe we can have a little convo about the Leagues Cup. So one thing I found really interesting, obviously talking back and forth with some people on Twitter, trying to gauge what people's thoughts are on the importance of this cup. Kind of more so, what is its importance in potentially keeping Nick employed? Because obviously it's a cup. It's a brand new cup. It's inaugural. You'll go down in history forever if you're the first team to win it. But on top of that, what I did not realize was they've made an agreement with the CCL, or the SCCL, I guess, that not only the winner gets into the CCL off it, but the second and third place, the top 3 teams, get into the CCL. That has to now be, depending on how, and we're going to find out how tough the Liga MX competition actually is. We haven't seen it enough, I think, with just the CCL, but this, I think, becomes the easiest way to get into the CCL.
Probably.
Because otherwise, it's the Open Cup, winning the Open Cup, or winning the MLS Cup at the moment.
Right.
And then I think Supporter Shield, but if it happens to be the same team, then the next highest points gets in. But this to me is like...
That's an opportunity.
This is a massive opportunity.
Yeah, but I mean, do you want your team in multiple tournaments and competitions when you're trying to kind of rebuild at this point? I don't know. It'll be a nice opportunity. Hopefully, if any guys that get brought in, which has to happen soon, because I saw today that the window closes in 23 days already. Yeah.
It opens and closes so quick.
That's another thing. It's like we had that conversation, obviously, with a lot of figureheads in the NYCFC community who all agreed that, we just feel like a toy for CFG that's not being played with anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see teams that have literally completed business already.
Yeah.
Before the transfer
like
window
multiple,
even opened. Yeah.
Multiple pieces of business, like.
And we're like, stroking rumors and HG contracts. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I think if you don't like the Leagues Cup, I think one thing to look forward to is it's an opportunity. Like if we're not caring about it, it's a no stress opportunity for any new signings that come in to get on the field and get like acclimated pretty quickly, without hurting us in the MLS if they suck,
right?
Or if they're taking a minute to get going or whatever.
Right.
They can kind of get those minutes and get those reps out of the way. That said, there's only 2 games, Atlas and Toronto, and if we screw those up, then I guess we'll just be training for a month until they're back in August. That would be maybe a pretty nice break as well to refocus.
On top of that, positives are we have 2 away games in the next month, and that's it. That's huge for us. I think if we can capitalize on that. Looking at that schedule, I think Philly is a very possible. There's possibilities that we can go in there and take 3 points. It's much more likely that we'll draw it. It's even more likely that we'll probably take our first L for a while. But you look at the rest, and it's like Atlas should be a W. Toronto, they're
worse than us
in the league. Like,
they're worse than us.
That should be a W. Minnesota,
I don't know with Pookie now.
With Pookie, yeah.
Pookie could be scary.
I want Chanot to take Pookie's legs. So it's a winnable game. Cincy away, that's hard. That's tough. It's
nearly impossible. Someone say.
That's nearly impossible. I mean, if the Brandon Vasquez that showed up last night, you don't know what you're gonna get. Who knows?
Montreal at home though.
Montreal at home and Vancouver at home. Those are winnable games.
Well, I think, and if the Leagues Cup is home as well, so we only have. I know after the Leagues Cup, out of our 10 final games, 7 are at home and 3 are away.
Yeah. So
we have a massively overloaded home schedule. But some random guy on Twitter reminded me today. He was like, "Yeah, but when has that helped you? You haven't won at home since April 22nd." So I guess temper.
Yeah.
That made me temper my expectations because he caught me.
Thing, right.
Shout out him.
Whether you are cushing in or cushing out, or you are hack in or hack out, or Turnbull in or Turnbull out, whatever you are, at the end of the day, you should care more about the club and the badge you support, and you should be showing up to these games. If you can get to the stadium within 30 minutes, and you can physically get there and afford to do it, there's no reason you shouldn't be at the game.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no reason for this run that you shouldn't be at the game, and that you shouldn't be giving your all.
Yeah, and our attendance has been great despite this. I mean, it came out during our really shitty run of like 11 games where we had all the losses and ties, that we're up like 25% since last year.
Yeah.
Like in the midst of the worst run that the club has had since 2015.
You know what I did the other day to feel something? I was watching like our earliest YouTube videos. And
Us?
Like NYCFC.
Oh, okay.
And just seeing how packed out it was, and like I know it is literally like Lampard, Pirlo, Villa. Like I understand that was such a big pull, but it was crazy to see like sections of seating that I've never seen open
tier
before.
Threes, yeah.
Like,
although we opened tier 3, I think this year for the first time that I've seen in a very long time.
So I know it's moving positively. If you have drums, play drums. If you got a voice, bring the voice. Like we need it.
And I know we plan. We talked about it a while ago, but ideally, or that's a midweek. Damn. But I think we were looking at like Vancouver. We've had the Derby on the calendar for many months since the beginning of the season.
That honestly could decide like if we're pushing for a playoff spot or not. Like that could really be a playoff deciding game as a Derby.
Yeah.
I'd like to go, honestly. Like I know it's probably RBA, right? It is RBA, right?
No, home.
Yeah, but didn't we get bounced?
No.
Oh,
the
Yankee
only
Stadium Derby, we're there.
the two home games to close out the season, Toronto and Chicago, are RBA. So
We're at that.
But I see us probably hitting Red Bulls, Vancouver. Damn, back-to-back games.
Little Minnesota to see some Pookie.
Pookie would be nice. Be like,
yo, I got you in my career mode.
Maybe we went to one midweek and it was
It was hard.
It was tough. Yankee Stadium, an hour and a half and away on
on
a work night.
Oh, that's also
but that could be
smack in between training.
Should be a win.
Right in between two like.
Oh, yeah, because we're training now. Yeah.
Training hard.
And maybe that's why we have a special. I don't know what to call it. Appreciation.
I like a better found appreciation to when you get back into seeing how physically hard things are.
Oh yeah, especially
how like crazy would it be?
Worst player
that's probably sold out.
That's me.
We can get Presto if we fly out
to Miami
trip, little New Haven to Miami.
Well, I know some supporters are getting like $10 tickets, which is nuts. They got
how?
Hey, if the FO has done anything right, that
we should try to go to the
top of it.
Just like send September. A floater and be like, hey, like what? How possible would it be? We would need the press passes in hand.
Impossible, right?
As like buying a ticket, yeah, like we're not. I wouldn't even try to afford that.
But even getting press, I mean,
I think it's got to be possible. That's got to be possible.
They hit up the guys.
Just to float a little tester out there to be like, hey, if we buy tickets with the plane, we can go.
Well, maybe my September 30th in Miami. You might catch Post 90 there, and if you do, maybe that'll be another one of the episodes where we do something at the stadium or as close to it as we can, because I don't think we haven't been back to a game since that one, so it's been like a few weeks now.
Right.
But yeah, we'll get back out there with everybody else getting out there. Shout out all you guys that are attending through the tough times. It's important, obviously.
Yeah.
It feels very important.
We need as much of it as we can.
And do we even do predictions for Philly? I feel I have bad juju with predictions.
I don't want to do a prediction. I just think we're going to play well. I think we played well against Columbus. I think we're going to continue to play well.
Yeah.
So, whether that's absorbing some pressure when we need to, or throwing big body Chanel into some nines
or whatever. You think?
We'll have Thiago back probably, right? Is he gonna?
Yeah, he's already playing.
Yeah, but
against
I'm saying,
everybody's assumptions.
Is he gonna be able to play that many minutes? Who knows?
I don't know.
And what's more important, the beginning of the game or the end of the game? Probably the end for us now.
Probably the end, although he didn't help much in Columbus. That's one thing. He was like invisible.
Yeah, I didn't really see him.
I didn't even remember seeing him on the pitch.
Every time I did watch him play with the ball, it looked like he had raggedy knees, like he was.
I'm sure they don't feel great at the moment.
They can't.
Or at least right now, after a game, they can't feel great. Here, this will be our prediction. Do you think before the Leagues Cup we have a club announced a signing?
Like not a homegrown?
Like the club has tweeted that this man has been signed by NYCFC.
5 days? No.
And is enough. 13 days, 2 weeks. By them.
By Philly? Oh
no, by Leagues Cup.
Got you. Yes. I think our
you sipping the NYCFC tea?
I think our striker is going to start that game.
That's NYCFC then. It could only be based on the rumors. I do have to say the one thing that has me excited about him is he is Algerian, like the main man Benzema. Although I know he claims France and all that, but he is from Algeria.
I would have said like Mahrez or like Atal.
Mahrez is
not
a striker.
My brain's not that deep right now.
Yeah,
Can't do it. Anyways,
I couldn't name another Algerian except Mahrez and Monsef and Benzema.
My brain's.
You gotta reach into the FIFA bag. Gotta do it.
Some would it be? Whatever.
So 108 in the books, episode 108. Follow us at Post90Pod everywhere you do your social mediaing and you're listening. Is he?
9.
Okay, well that's 1. Yeah. There you go. But yeah, follow us everywhere you do your podcast listening, your social mediaing. We are there. We're for sure there, and we're talking about random NYCFC shit, guaranteed on that platform wherever 100%. It is. So we'll catch you guys in in 109 post Philly. Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you.